hang on, we gotta push
Hello.
record.
Oh yeah, shoot. Man, you gotta keep forgetting this, Omid.
I mean, I just told you now, but I just should have mentioned to you earlier.
Oh god. Man, we're not doing great.
Technical difficulties. What can I say?
How about your phone?
Face ID. And I'll push this.
Bro, you're recording on the front.
And then video and boom. Okay. Should be all good now.
Okay. So sorry for the technical difficulties, by the way. Yeah, something happened in our end where we actually unplugged the system.
I know.
I rebooted like after 5 minutes, but yeah. Anyways. Hello, everybody. My name is Nate, and welcome everybody to the all-new episode of the Anination podcast. Omid's on my right. We're back after 2 weeks of pretty much a lot of things happening in the animation world.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me tell you, it has been definitely the most hyped up 2 weeks of animation between a certain movie that has come out recently. And
I mean, to be frank, we've been talking about this movie for quite a while. I mean, you've seen an interview that just popped up last week about, that certain movie.
not to mention, there are all these, sequel announcements. And there's a certain short that came out today that we're going to talk about next week.
Okay. Oh, we're going to next week already, huh? Wait. We're talking about this week right now.
No, I mean like next, like that'll be one of the, like next week we'll be talking about a certain short that came out today.
Oh, okay. So apparently everybody is going to be looking forward to that new Spider-Verse short, by the way. So I guess.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, we're already going ahead to next week. I thought we were going to talk about that. Not talk about that for next week or anything.
No, that's why I meant like certain short that's come out. But I
know a lot of people know about that. That's the thing. Yeah. So, well, I mean, again, we haven't been doing this for quite a while. Maybe that's the reason why we're getting some jitters here and there.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing is that when you're kind of like taking the week off, it is kind of hard to get back into it.
To be fair, like I mean, I like the week off. It made me really realize like what I needed to do for the Animation Podcast YouTube channel, for example. So like, I don't think we're gonna like what we're doing right now is recording episodes, which is I think going to be our thing now. But I think the highlight videos, this is the reason why we have like multiple cameras with us right now. It's just more towards the highlights of the stuff that we've talked about. Like we have a lot of subjects to talk about, obviously this week. But like for those that watched the episodes a couple weeks ago. Like the highlights of those should be like the main videos itself. So that's what I'm thinking about. I mean, I'm looking at like other podcasts, like Trash Taste podcast. What was it? Some other podcasts that are also reflected on animation. They do the same thing. So we're maybe thinking about doing that.
Absolutely. It's like following their footsteps and like taking notes on like what should we do for our own podcast
that's why like these last 2 weeks I've been rethinking about like how this podcast will go. So you'll see some highlight videos here and there in the upcoming days to say. So if anything, it just gives us fresh content for YouTube.
Yes.
But of course we have that big interview that we did, and to be fair, like let's just give a little synopsis of like what happened because we're gonna be talking more about it next week. But I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous as heck interviewing Miguel and Darren. Okay, so
yeah, because Miguel and Darren were quite big names on the Loud House of Casa Grande, so there was a part of me that was nervous as well.
So how were you able to actually like go through those questions? Because we already had that planned up questions, but the thing is like we had like a limit of like an hour, and we did go over an hour a bit. So I mean, we didn't want to waste their time. That's why we're kind of like we need to cut questions, we need to cut stuff here and there. So yeah,
it was more along the lines of we came up with questions we wanted to ask, and we wanted to give them our best ones that we've come up with.
Well, I know that, yeah, indeed. But yeah, I mean, like it was insane. I never expected ourselves to actually talk to Miguel and Darren. But again, the full story of that we will talk about next week. Just to put a heads up of what we're going to be talking about next week. So yeah.
There was a whole lot of good and fun vibes there in that interview. I think that was the best thing is that all four of us had fun talking.
Oh
to each
yeah,
other.
oh yeah. I mean, you can see the fun in that whole video itself.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so let's actually talk about what happened these last 2 weeks. Omid, how have your weekend been?
Yes. Last weekend I went to this NorCal cosplay gathering. That took
Okay, I
place
want to
in San
ask
Jose.
how that is. Has it been better or worse? I don't know. I mean, I've seen a couple of friends who went to the NorCal gathering, but it's not like my friends that went to the NorCal gathering. Well, one thing first off, it's like it's organized.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing is that this NorCal gathering, it was pretty much all over the place. Where it was originally planned for the Lake Elizabeth location, but because the vendor of it was so expensive, they decided to move it to the San Jose park. And even at that, the San Jose park, it definitely was smaller than anticipated. Like, it definitely
There was a lot of people there.
There wasn't a whole lot of people there. No. Yeah.
So it's not the same as the usual NorCal gatherings before, which, to be fair, like,
Yeah.
it used to be all the hype, but like pandemic happened. Is that the reason why it kind of like left the hype, the hype die down or something?
I don't think it's that because, well, the pandemic scare is pretty much over. I think it's more along the lines of how the NorCal gathering in Saturday could have been handled better. Like,
What do you mean by handle better?
Because, like I said, it was all over the place.
Well, here's the thing:
with
they did
the
settle
vendor.
down for one spot, so you at least were able to hang out in that spot.
Yeah, I think there's a part of me that expected there to be more people, but it turns out there were less people than I thought. But it was still chill vibes.
How many people
all
were
around.
actually out there? Like over 100 to say, or
I want to say more like around 30 or 40.
oh wow, that's really low.
I've lost count of how many exactly, but I remember it not being triple digits. It was more along the lines of plus
Oh,
50.
that's disappointing.
Less than 50.
Oh, that's disappointing. Wow, because like I remember like back in the NorCal gatherings we used to go to before, they used to have like 200, 300 people come by in their cosplay outfits and things of that nature.
And also because San Jose, the San Jose park itself was a small area, whereas the other NorCal cosplay gatherings had wider spaces. That could be why. I don't know. I don't know though.
No, have you ever been to Kelly Park in San Jose?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that's your first time. That's the reason why. Yeah, Fremont, Lake Elizabeth, yes, it's wider. But Kelly Park used to be where the NorCal gatherings were before. Like the NorCal spring gatherings used to be in Kelly Park because of the Japanese garden they had over there. So a lot of people would take photo shoots over there. And of course, the park is actually big itself. If you actually go further down, there's actually much more things to do in that park. So I would imagine like some cosplayers were actually out there doing photo shoots here and there, of their costumes and stuff of that nature. And, they had their fun times. But I don't know. I just didn't feel the vibe when I heard about the NorCal gathering. I was just like, when I got invited for the event, that was one thing. But then I saw it drop. I saw it got canceled. And then it got back up again. And I'm like, this is quite sus. So
It is quite sus when you. It is quite sus.
yeah. And I was like, I can't take it anymore. So I didn't want to go for that gathering to say. But did you cosplay at all for that gathering?
Yeah, I went as Mario, because a friend that was meeting me there would cosplay as Luigi.
Man, you're just like cosplaying Mario all the time. Even here, like today, you're cosplaying Mario technically.
You'd be surprised because I'm actually planning up a couple different cosplays for upcoming cons. So just letting you know.
For Fanime? Okay.
Fanime,
I know one of them. And you're gonna cosplay with me, I think.
I am.
Okay, yeah. I still don't know any group for Husband Hotel cosplay, by the way. But I also do have like a Demon Slayer. I don't know. Fanime we'll talk about next month just because it's April and May is Fanime. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So, that's cool. That's cool. Anything else for that weekend or?
I think that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much it. I would definitely say the interview we had.
That interview we had on Sunday, that one we had to prep ourselves up for.
Yeah.
We literally had to, well, again, we can talk about the story later, but like I said, we'll just skip it to the next week, okay?
Okay. Now let's talk about the past weekend.
Yeah. So that was all the past. No. I thought NorCal Gathering was 2 weeks ago.
No. The NorCal gathering was 2 weeks ago. I'm saying like I want to ask, how was your past weekends as well?
Well, for obviously the interview was one thing that came up. I didn't really do much this past weekend because first off, my mom actually went to Singapore for the whole 2 weeks, so I had to actually house sit. So I was mostly at home, house sitting, pretty much by myself. And then if there's an event that was going on, I'll hang out with a couple friends and we'll just do some stuff here and there. But I was just at my mom's place for the whole weekend, last weekend and the weekend before, just to make sure the house is okay. And what's kind of crazy is that even if like I'm gone, because like I still live in Milpitas, the thing is that I don't want to drive from Union City all the way down to Sunnyvale. So I still would go to Milpitas and just, stay there for the weekend or for the week. But I have like cameras ready just in case anything happens. So we're secured. We're secured. So, but it was just like it wasn't like anything eventful. I mean, I just wanted to just see how the house was and also check out like how the thing is. So yeah, that was cool. How my weekends were.
That's awesome. And
yeah,
and also I definitely want to talk about like the past Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I already. You know what's funny? That was my 2 weekends. There you go. I don't have much to say.
So the past Saturday, what I did was that me and my family, like me and my mom and her boyfriend, we were pretty much tidying around the house and pretty much getting ready for the family gathering that was happening in our place because it was Persian New Year. So
okay. I want to ask this too. I forgot. We also did have like a watch party for the Casa Grande's movie last weekend, which was awesome, by the way. Meeting up with everybody again for the Loudcast. I should have actually said that too. Although to be fair, why did you have to come on and off during the Persian New Year event?
Because it was pretty much because I wanted to be present for both, but mostly I wanted to help out my mom and all that stuff.
It's a Persian New Year. Isn't that supposed to be like the main event that you should be? I mean, we don't mind if you can't be able to make it to the event.
It's the main event, and for the most part, I've been playing the host. Starting conversations and all that stuff.
You're the host. So why are you coming to our server watching the Casa Grande's movie too?
Because I didn't want to miss any of it. So during my breaks and all that stuff, I would just drop by and pretty much see how you guys were doing.
Okay, next time, seriously, don't overwork yourself. Why do you do that?
I don't know. Like I'm a people pleaser. What can I say?
Yeah, but still, don't stress yourself out with, dude. Make sure you know what's like the what event is actually like takes advantage more than anything else, So I know that you want to be part of our Casa Grande's video chat and stuff like that, but at the same time, we're all together. I mean, you can watch it with us like anytime you want. It's more like, dude, if you have an event that is absolutely like, it's Persian New Year for one thing. This is once in a year thing. So I would say go check that thing out first. You're the host. You're supposed to be a host instead of siding on the side.
Yeah, of course. Co-host technically. My mom is a co-host, so
yeah.
But yeah, no, like this did not, overshadow my main event at all in the slightest. Because, like I said, I was still there preparing food, drinks, cleaning up around the house, talking to people, and all that stuff. So yeah, it was no problem. They even said that we were, great hosts for the party as well. So it was all good.
Yeah, I was just like kind of bothered. I'm like, yo, what the heck? Why you keep on? You said you're leaving by, and then you came back in on our freaking server. I'm like,
because
can you be indecisive or something? Were you indecisive or something?
Well, because the thing is, it was dying down. The thing is that at like sometime in the third or fourth hour, it was sort of like dying down, and some people were leaving. So that's kind of the thing.
Like, if anything, if I would be a host for something, I would at least try to make sure everybody's accommodated for. I don't want to be like distracted with other things. Like, I can leave my friends aside. I'll see him again. But will I see my family again? Who knows? Maybe in 3 more months, 4 more months, and whatever big event's happening. Come on, dude. I mean, gotta know what event is actually like the one that you have to prioritize the most.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the thing. I did, prioritize it, but
you kind of like prioritize everything. dude, don't stress yourself, dude.
I don't know. It's just like it was eventful for all the right reasons, though. It was for all the right reasons.
I still wouldn't want you to like get too stressed out with all the things that you have to jump through. Like, dude, you gotta make sure you pace yourself. Don't be like a crazy, everywhere kind of guy.
I don't know. So it's like, my mind is like, wanting to like do multiple things. So it's like my mind's wanting to do multiple
So
things.
this is my advice to you. Please don't do that again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come on, nerd. I mean, I want to make sure that you're healthy, make sure that you're okay, instead of being stressed and stuff like that. But you can't overpack a scheduled day or anything.
Yeah, no, I try my best not to, and I try my best not to.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, please just make sure you are best with that. Okay.
I all I gotta say that it was worth it. It was worth it.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure because, well, again, we already watched the Casa Grande's movie, by the way, so it's like
I wanted to watch it with company though. So.
Okay, I know that, but either way, it was still fun. I mean, we still had you along, which is still great, but at the same time, I still talked with other people that I haven't talked in a while. It's since the Loud House movie, if anything.
It's just like I haven't heard like some familiar voices. That's why I also jumped in. That's why, yeah. Okay. But anyway, let's go move on to Sunday. Let's move on to
Sunday. We didn't really do again. Like I said, I did I said house sitting. That was mostly it for my weekend, and I totally forgot about the Loud thing that I did for the Casa Grande's movie. But again, that was another story. But anyways, I know you did something big on Sunday.
Yes, on Sunday I went with my girlfriend to the San Francisco Zoo. We saw some animals like zebras, giraffes, snow leopards, and gorillas. Anyway, and then we pretty much walked around the zoo, and we had a nice fun time. Zoo's one of those nice places for couples. It's right up there with movies and restaurants.
Really?
Because of because of the nice natural atmosphere.
I was thinking like, well, again, me and my friend Jess, we ended up going to the SF Zoo as well. We just ended up just looking around for animals and stuff like that. That was it. Mm-hmm. But I guess for you guys, it's something nice, I would say.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a beautiful time.
Yeah, which is look, I ain't going through your private life now, but you keep on sharing it here, which is like, okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess that's how it is in this case. All right. Well, at least, if anything, that I think will pretty much sum up our weekend. So let's actually head straight to our episode, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Let's go straight to our first topic of the night. Where's my mouse? There we go. There we go. Oh, crap. I had it up. So let's actually talk about our first topic that came up to our airwaves called the Wild Robot. Now, this movie came out on DreamWorks, and it came out during the airing of Kung Fu Panda 4 that DreamWorks is currently making a brand new movie that's going to be coming out later on this year called The Wild Robot. The one thing that we wanted to talk about in this movie is the fact that it actually looks amazing. It's a brand new story. It's not like anything from DreamWorks that is like Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, or Bad Guys, or anything up there like empty to say. But it's absolutely a brand new story, and to say the least, this just looks amazing. So the story about this wild robot is all about this robot named Roz, who learned to adapt its surroundings to a deserted island. The robot builds relationships with the animals, and also needs to survive in those conditions. Omid, your thoughts on the plot line when you heard about the wild robot for DreamWorks?
The first thing I thought of is that I'm thinking to myself, finally, we get a new DreamWorks movie. Rather than it being part of a big DreamWorks movie franchise, this is a standalone movie, and it's basically a fish out of water type of story trope, but in this case, it's rather robot out of water. But anyway, when I heard of this story, I'm thinking to myself, okay, since they got Chris Sanders involved, this definitely has the potential.
Can you give me a fact check on who Chris Sanders is?
Chris Sanders was someone who worked on Lilo and Stitch. He was basically the director. And all
so we're doing some familiar stuff, family stuff here, are we?
Ohana. They bring the Ohana in this.
Yeah. So when I first, so I didn't actually read the plot line until you kind of described it here, but it's weird because like when I first saw the trailer, when I watched Kung Fu Panda 4, it looked visually stunning, and it kind of reminded me of was it Puss in Boots Latch Wish? Yeah, I was something around that kind of animation style. But I also saw like from that trailer, it was from the people who made How You Train Your Dragon. And to be fair, that's also a really good franchise for DreamWorks. So yeah.
Yeah. It got me thinking, do you think DreamWorks is gonna pull off the Wild Robot too? Not just kidding. I mean, building movie franchises is sort of DreamWorks' go-to in terms of making movies for the most part. So it's not out of the realm just yet with the sequel to this movie, but I digress. But
Yeah. So let's actually discuss this trailer here, because the trailer begins with a robot. I don't know if he's crash landed. It's more like he got discovered by otters. What made you think it was actually crash landed?
I think it's more along the lines of this robot was sent on a mission to find something in the wilderness, or maybe the robot was on a mission and then happened to crash land and he got stranded.
I remember it just got discovered by otters. Like, it woke up, saw otters, and then the robot just came up to life, and that's how it starts. So it starts off with that, and then the one thing that kind of like brought my attention was the fact that it's animated pretty well. How about you? Did you also see the animation and thought it was also good too?
The animation is beautiful. It is stunning. From the landscapes to the character designs, especially the animals, all that good stuff. Definitely Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Because here's the thing, like when I looked at the animals, it definitely looks very Puss in Boots: Last Wish resemblance to say. It's not like the Puss in Boots first one. It looks absolutely like The Last Wish. And if you remember what we talked about for The Last Wish, it's an absolutely amazing movie. And I was kind of thinking like, oh, it's the people behind the people behind Puss in Boots like working on this movie. And if that's the case, then it will be good. You know, it could be something as good as Puss in Boots: Last Wish.
I believe so. Just by the animation and how the story is going to go, it's going to turn out to be very promising. It's going to turn out to be one of DreamWorks' stronger movies.
I think so too. Again, there's still a lot to discuss when it comes to this trailer. Let's see. Again, the robot's in a natural environment. It does things that actually adapts to animals, like what was it, climbing trees, running like a deer, building fires, walking on ice. I mean, this is pretty much the story of a robot that's pretty much a child, pretty much, that is just like learning from the animals that he's adapting to. So, how do you like this whole survival story for the robot and how it's adapting to animal life, to say?
Yeah, so even though this is a fish out of water trope that has been done many times, I feel like this story is one of the most unique ways to tell it. Because rather than it being a typical human or an astronaut or anything like that gets stranded into this supernatural world, like, you know, James Cameron's Avatar or something like that, this one is a robot that is stranded in a natural setting. So it's pretty much something from sci-fi being put into this nature environment. It's pretty much sci-fi with a combination of, you know, nature.
Well, yeah, pretty much that. But I think it's just mostly like 80% nature, 20% sci-fi. Because like the way I'm kind of seeing it, it's just a robot adapting to animals, and most of the trailer that you see is animal life. So it's like you see foxes, you see bears, and you see the robot continuing to adapt to it. So I think that's actually like a really nice trope, like what Omid said, that it's how would I say, fish out of water? Well, kind of is a fish out of water thing, yeah. But it's cool, like, to see a robot like try to adapt to life. Like, I saw this one part in the trailer where he actually like raises an egg and actually hatches a duckling, which was pretty cute. Like,
and then the duckling follows him.
Yeah, it's like I said,
it's so cute.
It's really cute. But I also noticed that it is kind of like a robot gets adapted to the duck. It feels like a duck family is actually watching over him or something. And I remember this one scene here where he like runs off while the ducks are flying and he can't fly. And then he's just like looking into the sky, being disappointed that ducks can fly and he can't, and he's just stuck there. You know, that's something to actually look into as well. It's like you're adapting to animals, but at the same time, you can't adapt to an animal that fast because they could go away from you.
Yeah, so what this is basically, you know, he wants to fly with the ducks, but he can't. But so what he does is that he tries so hard to train in the wilderness to adapt to this natural lifestyle so that he can eventually learn to fly the way they do.
Can a robot fly?
Well, not right now, but, you know, he might find a way.
I'm just saying, like, can a robot fly? I don't know. Maybe adapt to another, like, animal that's out there. A bear, a fox, a deer, another animal that's out there. So, if anything, I kind of wonder, like, how it feels very post-apocalyptic, to say. knowing like there's no humans out there, it's just a robot and animals. Like, well, it tells you like it's very post-apocalyptic, right?
It sort of does, because you'll notice that this trailer doesn't contain any humans at all. It only contains robot and animals. So something tells me that the human species has become extinct.
Yeah, so or non-existent in this particular like world that they're at. Because if you're saying that if it's a robot that came down from Earth, it kind of tells you like this could be a possible like new planet situation where you see animals come out and robots come in. So I don't know much more about the trailer, but all I know is that it's absolutely beautifully stunning. It does talk about robots adapting into animals, and we don't know what will happen next. But again, we'll look into this trailer. That's mostly the trailer that we're just discussing, but it absolutely looks great, and it comes out in September. I do have to say this, though. DreamWorks does have a record of, well, hits and misses. Do you think this would be a hit to the critics?
I honestly do think so by its presentation. And just with the fact of how this is basically from the trailer, notice how no one except the robot talks. Like, the animals don't talk in this movie at all, so...
Well, I don't know about that. I know that there was like somebody who was talking, like in the end of the trailer. Did you hear that part?
Yeah, but I don't remember like who it was that was talking at the
I
end
don't
of the
know
trailer.
who that was, but I thought it was one of the ducks.
It's something we'll have to keep an eye on in the next trailer, but needless to say, it could be any character of any species. Whether it be another robot or maybe one of the animals. Let's see, who knows.
Right. But it's weird because here's the other thing, too. It has an all-star cast. Yeah. So what are they going to do? If you're telling me that Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Stephanie Sue, Mark Hamill, Catherine O'Hara, they're all in this movie, but they're telling me they're not going to do anything in this movie. There has to be something involved with them. And I don't think there's humans involved. So what, more robots or more animals? I'm assuming there's got to be something talking in there.
It could be that there may be more robots that may come later on in the movie. But yeah, we already know who's voicing Roz, the protagonist in the movie, Lupita herself.
Yes.
And I got to say that from hearing her say a couple lines, she's really delivering those lines well.
Wait, what lines? There's only like one line she said.
or that one line in the end.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about? What couple lines are you talking about?
I mean those lines.
Here's the thing. Lupita's still like a great actress herself. Like, if you've seen her in other movies, yes, she's in, I think, Black Panther, if I remember. I might be wrong. Yeah, see, I told you she's in Black Panther. So if she's going to be in this movie, then, she could probably do a really good job with it. But, I mean, the cast list looks stunning. I mean, you have Pedro Pascal, out of all people, the freaking Mandalorian, being a part of this movie. And also, I just love the fact that Stephanie Sue, who used to be in anime, is now a part of this movie, and it's now actually one of the main cast folks. And I'm like, well, congrats to her.
She's going big.
Yeah.
She's going
and
big.
Also Mark Hamill. Come on, dude. You have Star Wars folks in here.
You got Mark Hamill, yes, the GOAT himself, Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of tells you like what is Mark Hamill's role in this? What is Catherine O'Hara's role in this? Stephanie Sue's role in this? I mean, you can't tell me that it's just that animals can't talk. I have a feeling they will. And I believe they're one of the animals.
What I like about this trailer is that it leaves you guessing. It doesn't reveal too much in terms of what's to come, who's going to talk. So they leave it up to us to speculate predict what's going to happen. And then trailer 2 is when it's going to reveal more stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a teaser trailer, which, you know, it's what teaser trailers do. They just to give you the visuals and what the story is going to look like. So there you go. The Wild Robot has its story out there. And I've said right now, it looks very stunning. It looks promising. And to be fair, I think I will actually check it out and check out this movie this September.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. This is one of those movies that I'm going to see immediately.
Okay. But yes, the Wild Robot from DreamWorks, it comes out on September 20th, 2024. So you got to wait until then. But again, we'll have to wait for more trailers to come out and more things to come in when it comes to the Wild Robot. But yes, it does look great, and we can't wait to see it.
Yes.
All right. Well, I love how you like this, how you drew this script on me, because we go from the good part of animation to a bad part of animation.
Debatable. I mean,
we talking about Fairly Odd Parents, Newish. When you say debate, what do you mean by debatable? This is.
That's what I thought at first. When I thought that's what I thought at first when it was announced that they were making a new Fairly Odd Parents series. I was going like, oh, here we go again. But, well, you're going to hear about my thoughts later.
Oh, man. Wow. Okay, so first off, Nickelodeon, I don't know what you're doing right now. I know that you're on a fire. You're in a freaking, like, pit fire right now, but we'll discuss that later. But, again, Nicktoons is somehow going weird when it comes to Nickelodeon because we have a brand new Fairly Odd Parents cartoon called New Wish. It premieres on Nickelodeon this spring. This spring? Really?
Yes.
Huh. I thought it actually comes out in summer or later on. So it's coming out real soon then in this case.
Very soon.
Oh, geez. So, yes, it's coming out in spring 2024 in the United States. It will come out internationally later on this year. So, again, Omid, when you heard about this Fairly Odd Parents thing, dude, Fairly Odd Parents has been in a weird ride right now, considering that they made some live action shows and they even made that Fairly Odder show, which is like 2D animation with live action. And now you're telling me we have a brand new cartoon for the Fairly Odd Parents? Okay, your thoughts on why we have another Fairly Odd Parents thing?
Gotta make the money, right? They need the ratings because think about it. Other than SpongeBob, they need to have their second golden boy, their poster child. So if they can't milk SpongeBob, what they got? Fairly Odd Parents.
What do you mean their poster boy? They got SpongeBob, and then Lincoln Loud would be their second poster boy.
Like, the Loud House is definitely up there as well, but they don't milk Loud House nearly as much as Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
Because Fairly Odd Parents, think about it. It spawns a live action movie trilogy. It spawns a live action sequel show, and it spawns this too. So it's something along the lines of they're still milking Fairly Odd Parents. They still think of Fairly Odd Parents as one of the big names.
Again, I don't think Nickelodeon's like thinking thoroughly because the Loud House at least has 8 seasons. Casa Grande has 3, unfortunately, but SpongeBob has 25 years in existence, and they're still adding more like spin-offs, like Patrick Star Show and the Camp Coral Show.
And the Sandy Cheeks movie.
Oh, God. That comes out in summer of 2024, too, so it's like, what's funny is that Nickelodeon just dropped the Casa Grande's movie, and now we have the Sandy Cheeks movie coming out. It's just a weird ride that Nickelodeon is running through, and then you're just telling me this is a new show that they're popping up? I'm like, we're running out of ideas here, Nickelodeon.
They really are, because Nickelodeon. Okay, I'm just gonna see this right now. Nickelodeon heavily depends on their big names franchises. Rather than coming up with, rather than pitching new shows, like brand new shows, they resort to making spin-offs, movies, and all that stuff of their biggest franchises.
Well, we never heard of the Fairly Odd Parents since 2020 with Fairly Odder. So this is just, 4 years later, and now we have a brand new cartoon.
So it leaves me wondering, why resort to making more Fairly Odd Parents again? Didn't you already learn your lesson from last time with Fairly Odder that maybe you should leave Fairly Odd Parents alone?
Yeah, exactly. Yet they never learn, do they?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I don't know if it's a big influence for Butch Hartman or something, because I know he's left Nickelodeon. But it's like, then who makes this show? Like, there's got to be influence with Butch Hartman, or somebody behind the scenes is like saying, hey, this is a good idea for a cartoon. It's just weird. Like, why make another cartoon? And again, we'll talk more about this in a little bit. But again, Fairly Odd Parents, it's not the main franchise. I know SpongeBob is your main franchise, but yet you're sucking on it too. Like, it's terrible too. So I don't know what Nickelodeon's doing. Anyways, let's not talk about like the Fairly Odd Parents in general, because Fairly Odd Parents used to be great. They had like amazing movies like Channel Chasers and School's Out, and the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, which was amazing back in the 2000s. But then things started to slip under the rug when it comes to the Fairly Odd Parents. So can you like explain your thoughts about the Fairly Odd Parents, like from its highs and lows and what the hell's going on with it?
Oh yeah, let me tell. Okay, so Fairly Odd Parents was one of the biggest parts of my childhood. I remember watching it religiously. I remember quoting the show. I remember playing the video game. I definitely remember all that good stuff. It was just, Fairly Odd Parents was something that I hold near dear to my heart. And then afterwards, something changed. Something changed where after Fairly Odd Parents and their movies and their spin-offs, something happened where they decided for some reason to have a Fairly Odd baby. for whatever reason. Oh, but that's not all. They have a Fairly Odd Dog, and they have a second kid for Cosmo and Wanda, for Timmy to share. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this series is really breaking its own dull rules, which is pretty ironic because each episode is based on according to dull rules.
The rules are not even like logical anymore. Like it's pretty much like thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Oh, you can share Fairly Odd Parents. Oh, you can have a fairy dog. Oh, there's a baby. You can have another Fairly Odd parent now. It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, wow, we're kind of really off the rails here when it comes to the Fairly Odd Parents. Like anything can happen in the Fairly Odd Parents. Who gives a care?
Yeah, and it really does. It really does break my heart to know that a iconic show from my childhood has resorted to that.
Well, I mean, so I started watching Fairly Odd Parents when it was like out 1999 or something. That I believe was like the big competitor with SpongeBob, and the Fairly Odd Parents was great. Like first season, second season, third season, everything was all good. I remember watching Channel Chase. This was one of the best like movies I've seen. Even Abracatastrophe was also a really good movie to check out because it was Desmond Crocker finally getting Fairly Odd Parents. And then the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. I mean, everybody loved it just because Jimmy Neutron and Fairly Odd Parents were absolutely like great together. I think that was when it started to like slip under the rug. Like things started to like fall down where you get to see Timmy start to have that Fairly Odd baby. And I think, are you agreement here that the baby was the reason why it starts the downfall of the Fairly Odd Parents? Because there are still some good like Fairly Odd Parent like episodes with Poof.
I'm not going to say it's Poof's fault specifically. It's just that ever since Poof was born, the episodes have been subpar, but it hasn't reached to a point where it's gone awful just yet. Like, think of it this way. The Poof episodes, just the Poof episodes, is similar to SpongeBob Season 4, where you notice the decline of the quality, but it hasn't gone down to the point of, oh my god, it's jumped the shark, it's gone awful. It's well on the lines of, it's still decent, but it's not the same as the Golden Age.
So you're telling me SpongeBob Season 4 is when you started to actually stop watching SpongeBob?
No, like I said, Season 4 is good but not great. I'm gonna say it's good but not great.
Look, I haven't checked out SpongeBob in quite a while. I mean, to be fair, there's been some episodes where my sister would actually put up SpongeBob and just put that as background noise. But then to be fair, I haven't like watched SpongeBob in quite a while. So like, I never had a scening session with it to say. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, Fairly Odd Parents, I feel like the decline started when Poof happened, when a dog came into their life.
Oh God, I hated that much.
So I'm kind of wondering because like I don't follow up with the Fairly Odd Parents ever since they got their dog. But where did Poof go? Where did Poof go? Can anybody answer that? Like anyone in the comments or anything? Where did Poof go? Did she go to like some sort of like Fairly Odd like center up in Fairy World or something?
I don't know. Continuity just got thrown out the window.
Because seriously, like, Poof is gone, and they have a dog, and then now and then after that, after the dog is gone, they share Fairly Odd Parents with another girl.
Seriously, continuity just tossed out the window.
I don't get it. Like they've just ruined the whole franchise because they just continue to make all these like odd stuff here and there.
Yeah, the moment Sparky appeared, and oh my god, I hated that so much, so annoying. But anyway, when Sparky appeared, that's when it really got so awful. That's when it hit bottom of the barrel. From like it made the continuity so much worse. The episodes were cringy to watch. The humor's not even funny. And I swear something happened where Cosmo's voice has somehow screeched for some reason.
Remember, this is Darren Norris, the guy who voices Timmy's dad. So he does duo work, like what Greg Griffith does with Lola and Lana. So Darren Norris, he's doing both the dad, Cosmo, and Jorgen von Strangle.
There was a time
this guy is like OP when it comes to the Fairly Odd Parents right now.
There was a time when no disrespect to the voice actor, he's doing the best he can, but it's just like the direction they take with Cosmo's voice. I feel like he doesn't sound as, mature. He doesn't sound, as good as he did in the older seasons.
Well, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because of like his voice started to start the decline in that case. But then
Yeah.
again, he had a lot of work to do doing all 3 voices in one cartoon and even more extra voices for like background characters. I feel bad for the guy, but he did a great job when it comes to like actually getting the right voices right.
Yes, and that's what I mean when I say I don't blame the voice actor for this at all. I blame mostly the voice director for it.
Yeah, because it's just not really working out here. I feel like when they were trying to hire more people for the Fairly Odd Parents, they said like, "Oh, we don't like the cartoon anymore," and they just like said, "No, no, thanks, we're not going to be a part of this."
Oh, God.
So yeah, there's that. But yes, I do want to talk about like the other Fairly Odd Parents stuff that also popped up, like a fairly odd summer of like, for example, like you had Drake Bell become Timmy Turner. You had what was it? Daniela Monet become Tootie.
I'm just like, no, you do not do that.
And FYI, like the first one wasn't bad, okay? Like I kind of got a kick out of it. I first watched it, it was cool. It was like a 3D animation of Cosmo, Wanda, and Poof was there too. But then when you make 2 and 3, like Fairly Odd Summer, Fairly Odd Christmas, like wait, what are we doing now?
No, here's the thing. The first Fairly Odd movie, the first Grow Up Timmy Turner movie was so god-awful. One of the worst movies I've ever seen.
With Drake Bell?
Yeah, but somehow the sequels managed to be worse.
They are way worse. I'm
way
like, why
worse.
do we need a summer where they go into a volcano and apparently Timmy Turner like the real, the voice actress of Timmy Turner comes back.
But just because the last 2 were way worse, that doesn't mean the first one wasn't so god-awful to begin with. No, it's such an awful movie. Yeah. I hate it.
All right. So I kind of want to just like stop it here just because we're going to keep on going down this rabbit hole of like the worst, like how this Fairly Odd Parents become the worst franchise. And let's actually get ourselves back into this idea of a new wish, a brand new cartoon that comes out in 2024 on Netflix. Now, here's the thing. You're thinking that it's going to be Cosmo, Wanda, and Timmy Turner in a brand new cartoon. That is actually half of the case here for this cartoon. So they're going to have Cosmo and Wanda. Yes, they're going to be the Fairly Odd Parents.
Obviously.
But they don't have Timmy Turner this time. There's this new girl named Hazel Wells. So what you thought about this brand new kid that is a part of this cartoon?
Yeah, so when I heard that Cosmo and Wanda were having a new kid, the first thing I thought to myself is, I really hope that they don't screw this up. They probably will, but they better not screw this up. But then the more and more I read about it, and the more I looked into Hazel's character, the more research I did on Hazel's character, the more I thought to myself, okay, you never thought you'd hear me say this, but I'm just going to say it right now. This series has the potential. It has the chance to be decent.
What? What are you saying, Omid?
This show could be decent.
What? Oh, just because Hazel actually uses her wishes for good? Is that the reason why?
No, because
you heard it here, folks. By the way, that he actually thinks this is gonna be good.
I'm not saying it's gonna be. I ain't gonna say. I'm not gonna pretend that this is gonna be the greatest thing ever or anything like that.
I looked at the synopsis too, and Hazel uses her wishes to actually be like help people out, not be selfish like what Timmy Turner did.
But I'm saying this right now is that there's actually good ideas behind the show. There actually really is. Because when you look at Hazel, you could really sympathize with her at the fact of, well, she and her family are moving to a new town called Philadelphia. And honestly,
come on. Really? You're just putting a pun on Philadelphia now?
I'm just going to say something now. One major criticism I have of this, aside from it being yet another Fairly Odd Parents show, is that why Philadelphia? It's so stupid. Like, you come finding Tim Sale in Philadelphia. You couldn't come with more imaginative city. I'm sorry. But
no. We'll go to Dimma Cisco now. Okay, you want that instead?
No, Dim York. Let's go Dim York.
No, this is. I don't know what kind of things they're making. Why Dim Philadelphia? It doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, despite its really, really stupid town name, I do see where they're going with this, because they're going the different route with Hazel, because ever since she moved to the new town, she's had to leave behind her friends and her old life, and not to mention the fact of how like she feels lonely, especially about how her brother has recently been moving to college. And let's just say there's a part of me that relates to that, because I've been there where since my brother moved to college, I've been kind of lonely myself. So
is that the reason why you think it was actually going to be good, because it kind of relates to you? One
of, but I'm just saying up front that I could actually see. Hey, now this is the kind of situation where having Fairly Godparents is actually warranted. So it is sort of a good idea in which you have a kid who's going through a lonely life that needs Fairly Godparents to, make herself feel whole, make herself feel generally happy with company.
I feel like for Timmy Turner's case, because of a evil babysitter is watching over her is the reason why he needs Fairly Odd Parents. This time around, it's more like, wow, life sucks. That's why you need Fairly Odd Parents.
Now, while I do like the idea of Fairly Godparents being Timmy's godparents because, evil babysitter, we need to fight this evil, and as well as...
to be fair, that's how he ended up actually getting Fairly Odd Parents, which, look at the pilot episode, guys. You know that Vicky was the reason why he got Fairly Odd Parents.
I do feel like... I do feel like how Hazel got her Fairly Godparents... the idea of her getting the Fairy Godparents in the first place, why she got it seems more complex in comparison to how Timmy Turner got his Fairy Godparents in the first place. Now, I can't really judge and say about what type of episodes that are going to be in this episode, so I'm not going to say right off the bat that, the Hazel episodes are going to be better. I'm not going to say the Hazel episodes are going to be worse. I'm saying at the fact of how Hazel got her godparents in the first place seems, like I said before, much more complex as opposed to, evil babysitter, I need my godparents to fight this evil. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, when you put it that way, it will tell me that it might actually be. I can't say it's decent. You have a big hill for you to actually make me believe that it's going to be decent. Okay. Look, you're in rock bottom, Fairly Odd Parents. You're at rock bottom with all the things that you've done. Fairly Odd didn't look great at all. How can you make me love the franchise if you're currently at rock bottom with that whatever you put up for Fairly Odd? Okay. How can you make me believe that this you wish would actually be great? Plot-wise, maybe good, but animation-wise is another thing too. It doesn't look that great.
It really doesn't? Because
you think it's actually that good?
When I look at because I looked at the promo images, and I do see that the 3D animation looks pretty smooth in my opinion.
Wow, that's saying something too.
I haven't seen the trailer yet, so I haven't seen any of the video promos or trailers. Anything like that,
so the one thing I noticed was that Wanda doesn't have black pants; she has pink pants now. Okay, so
that is one thing. That is one.
What is happening? That is a thing that's changed. Okay, there's not the same Fairly Odd Parents that I know here.
It's not the same Fairly Odd Parents, but honestly, I'm curious to see another trailer. I want to see more of it before I can really judge. But yeah, I'm just gonna say this right now. Believe you me, I was ready to bash the heck out of this show. I was really ready to bash Fairly Odd Parents. Do you wish, and the fact that we're getting a Fairly Odd Parents episode, but I had to do more research first. I had to keep an open mind, before talking about this. I'm thinking to myself, I can't bring myself to really hate it, but I'm hoping that it doesn't turn out to be another disaster like the Fairly Odder, but we're going to wait and see on that.
We'll have to see. It is currently having 20 episodes for this brand new series. Again, like I've said before, you got to give me a 10 out of 10 of a cartoon in order for me to actually believe that Fairly Odd Parents is going to strive in Nickelodeon. But no, it's at the moment right now, the reputation kind of is tarnished right now. It's really rock bottom for me when it comes to the Fairly Odd Parents. So if Hazel can and Cosmo and Wanda can try to get the Fairly Odd Parents up and at least give it a decent series on Netflix, then maybe there's a chance. But again, you have to set a high bar for this cartoon to become successful.
I'm not going to say it's a 10 out of 10, but I'm just going to say from the way I'm seeing it, it's definitely going to be much better than Fairly Odder, much better than the Fairly Odd Parents live action movies.
So do you have? So I think we answered the question. You have faith in this series. So you have faith in this series.
I would say I have semi-faith. It could turn out to be really good, or it could turn out to be really bad. It could fall in either category.
I don't have much faith in this series. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just putting it out there, man. I mean, Fairly Odd Parents, you have a long way to go when it comes to actually recovering yourself from the abysmal stuff that you've done recently for this franchise.
I don't really blame you for saying that because, based on the amount of Fairly Odd Parents material we have gotten, I would imagine you have Fairly Odd Parents fatigue. Heck, I have Fairly Odd Parents fatigue based on those god-awful movies and shows. But I'm just saying that based on what I've seen here so far, I'm willing to keep an open mind about this.
Okay, but that's in your case here.
Yeah.
But again, Fairly Odder comes out this spring. We don't know if it's going to live up to the OG series, to be fair, but I don't know. I'll watch one episode. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I again, you give me a bad look. Like it's a bad look already for the Fairly Odd Parents. What makes you think it didn't actually look great? Oh, new character, no Timmy Turner. Can we at least have a Timmy Turner reference here and there? Maybe something of that nature.
Like, in its defense, though, this is actually following the rules very well. It's not breaking from any continuity.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. We're just waiting wait till a couple more episodes come in and then they break the rules again.
From what I've seen, like, the plot line feels like this is a Fairly Odd Parents plot summary that is flowing naturally, as opposed to, the grown-up version of Timmy Turner has fairy godparents, even though fairy godparents go away forever at the age of 16. The fairy godparents are the fairy godparents of, two kids, Timmy's relative and Timmy's relative stepbrother.
Yeah,
let's
just get those aside, okay? Let's not care about that girl that ended up like going with Timmy Turner for Fairly Odd Parents. I forgot her name, and that tells
Chloe.
you. I don't care. and then the other two characters that also got Timmy Turner's. Okay, it's so weird because like it kind of has that continuity now, where like Timmy graduates and Cosmo and Wanda goes with those kids, and then Cosmo and Wanda apparently now goes with this kid now. Come on, you gotta give me answers here. No matter what, for those who are interested in Fairly Odd Parents New Wish comes out this spring 2024. We don't actually know a release date when it'll come out, but it is coming out this spring. So if you are interested in watching it, it'll be out there on Netflix. Have fun with it, guys.
Yeah. like I said before, for those who don't want to see it because Fairly Odd Parents fatigue, I don't blame you. But for those who are interested in seeing it, it's just something to, like, to check out for yourself and make your own judgments about it.
We'll see. All right, let's move over to our next subject. And it actually talks about the SAG-AFTRA thing. Now, we talked about SAG-AFTRA last time. Mm-hmm. I mean, a couple episodes ago, and they went through a strike. The strike is over, but now we have to actually clean up of like other big contracts that they have to deal with, like animation, video games, other things that SAG-AFTRA is involved with. And one of them is the animation side. And we did have news that came out, I think this week, that talks about their contractual agreement when it comes to animation and voice acting. So this actually refers to the voice actors of SAG-AFTRA, as it actually does help them out a lot. Omid, we're gonna go through the details of this, but Omid, when you heard about this deal, what are your thoughts on it?
When I heard about this deal, I'm thinking to myself, yes, they finally did it. They finally got a SAG-AFTRA deal that involves AI that's going to help benefit the voice actors.
Yeah. So again, it's always been about the AI thing, and at least in this contract, they're not really going to focus on the AI. But if they were going to focus on AI, they will at least know that it is based on the person. Like when it comes to voice acting, the name will be there. It won't not be based off the app that they use or anything.
Yeah, now of course AI will still be involved, but that's only if they need it. That's only if they need to help their voice acting, not so much take away their jobs or anything like that. No, this is going to be used for good purposes.
Now the big focus about this new contract for voice actors in animation is that they're gonna get themselves a 7% raise, protections against AI. Nonetheless, it's all good news to say.
Yes, that is definitely good news, and it is something that they've been waiting to hear. You could pretty much argue that this is very similar to the big SAG-AFTRA contract that was back in last year, when the reason why the strike went on is because Hollywood was planning to replace the actors with AI, and the SAG-AFTRA deal and the WGA deal that was approved actually helped rectify that. It really helped solve the problems. Mm. And this is the same thing here with this.
So the members of SAG-AFTRA ratified the 2023 television animation agreement and the 2023 television anime. Wait, both? You put both. Okay, yeah. Let's repeat this again. Members of the SAG-AFTRA ratified the 2023 television animation agreement with the Alliance of the Motion Picture and Television Producers, AMPTP, and they approved this new 3-year contract of a vote from 95% to 4%. That means it's almost unanimous. Your thoughts on this majority vote that happened for SAG-AFTRA?
Honestly, with a deal like this, of course it's going to be a large majority. You've got 95% who agree to this, and that tells you that this is a kind of, ratification that is going to help benefit everyone.
I think it's definitely great. So let's actually go through the details of what this SAG-AFTRA deal is all about. Obviously, AI was the big focus when it comes to this contract. It will not, I've said this before, it will not talk about the application that they use for the AI. If they were to use AI for voice acting, they will use the human name. So say, for example, Mark Hamill was voice acting and they had to use AI to tweak the voice a little bit. They were going to put Mark Hamill's name on the credits instead of using the AI app. So that's one thing that's good.
Yeah.
To at least give credit to the person who's voice acting.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, the voice actor is doing their job to lend their voices to this project. So, of course, you got to credit the voice actors.
Yeah. High budget subscription video on demand. There's a grandfather. Okay, wait. Let me go through the details here. Well, again, 7% increase when it comes to pay. It will increase even more every year. So it's like, I think a 2% raise next year and then 3% the year after that and another 3% after that. So nonetheless, for voice actors, they keep on increasing their pay every 3 years. So it's like, every year they get a promotion, they get like an increase when it comes to their pay whenever voice acting role they have. Holidays, they said Martin Luther King's birthday, Juneteenth, are now holidays, so they'll take those days off. There's a lot of things actually in this one. Wow. Yeah. There's more than just the pay raise and AI. There's sheet music. Was it available producer to sing? Cooperation on contract compliance. ADR, automated dialogue replacement. The availability to scale of certain advertisers supported video on demands. There's just a lot much in detail, but if anything, what matters is that this is a 3-year contract. They get higher pay, and AI will not be as much affiliation. If anything, they'll get credited for it, so that's good. Well, here's the thing. Like, it's gonna take until 2026. It's still 3 years. I mean, you think that they're going to be okay with those 3 years, or because I know they're going to do another recontract when it comes in 2026.
3 years is a long time in terms of this deal and in terms of voice acting. So I would say that based on those 3 years and how well the voice acting industry is going to do thanks to this deal, I have a feeling that the deal is going to be renewed in 2026.
I think so too. Maybe a little bit better than what they have, because I get it. AI is going to control pretty much like most of the stuff. I'm in the tech industry, and AI is doing a lot of things, which is kind of scary, to be fair. I don't want it to be replacing voice actors. I don't want it to be replacing art, but it is what it is right now. Like, it's on your phone, it's on your computer. It's pretty much trying to make things easier for you to like search stuff on the internet or to make something great. ChatGPT is a scary tool. Yeah. So,
and don't get me started on the amount of AI art that I see in social media.
Right. But look, I don't care about the AI art stuff. Those guys are jerks. But I care more about like making sure that credit is going to be there where credit's due. So if anything, don't replace the voice actors. Make sure that their names is present there. Make sure that they're still make sure that their voices are behind the studio, that they're behind the booth, so that they can actually still do the voice acting and not have another like computer app ruin their voice acts or anything like that. But it's just like this overall, it looks great. Like, it looks good to see that that the voice actors in television and all that kind of stuff is great. So yeah.
Yeah, let me just say this right now, as someone who is into animation myself, and as someone who respects the voice actors, this is definitely something that was definitely much needed. So I do thank SAG-AFTRA for pulling through with this, because this really is such a good deal that's going to benefit everyone.
You know what, though? It's kind of funny because like there's other more contracts that are also being negotiated right now in SAG-AFTRA. Like they're doing something about video games and voice acting, other like movie producer stuff that is happening behind the scenes. So I looked that up too, by the way, and they're still being negotiated. But if anything, one of them is being approved. And SAG-AFTRA, you guys have a great deal, and for these next 3 years, enjoy it while you can, and have fun with it, and have fun with that, with all the things in television to say. I don't know what else to say.
This is going to be a dang good 3 years, let me tell you, and hopefully it's going to be another good 3 years starting 2026.
All right. Well, all right. That sounds great. Awesome stuff for TV animation. All right. Well, we're now getting over to our main subject, and I want to talk to you about this, Omid. Why did we want to talk about this today?
Why we wanted to talk about this today was because since this particular documentary is something that has been talked about recently, and it's related to a certain studio that have made that was a part of our childhoods.
Mm-hmm. This is not really reflecting towards animation or anything like that. So
no, but it's pretty much the next thing that when you were a kid, you would watch cartoons, and then the next thing that you would watch is these certain shows when you were a kid. And plus, you could argue that these live action shows, do tend to get animated themselves in terms of the amount of gags and movements and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I've watched this documentary, and it's not fun to actually see that documentary and hearing the stories that came out of this. So I'm kind of sensitive when it comes to this, and I feel like for everybody who's going to be watching this video, if you have some queasy minds when it comes to this particular subject, I do want to give you a warning right now. As we move forward talking about this subject, it is okay for you guys to turn off YouTube for now, because this is going to be quite controversial, quite something hard-hitting to say.
Yeah, it's definitely going to contain some really heavy subject matter that some of you viewers understandably are sensitive to. So if you don't want to hear any of what we have to say regarding this particular subject, then please feel free to, exit YouTube right now.
Okay, so I don't know if I want to talk more about it. Can you be able to lead this one today?
Yes, sir. I shall. This is actually the first for me, leading a particular subject. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to be talking about is none other than Quiet on Set.
Okay.
And so for those who don't know, very recently, Investigation Discovery released a 4-part documentary series called Quiet on Set. The docuseries is about former child actors from Nickelodeon coming forward and presenting their experience working at Nickelodeon. Specifically, shows like All That, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, iCarly, Zoey 101, and all that stuff. And it turns out that their time in Nickelodeon was a nightmare for them, especially with dealing with a toxic work environment caused by Nick producer at the time, Dan Schnieder. First things first, when you heard about this announcement of this documentary series, what were your thoughts?
I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
No, because the thing is, I keep on seeing all the rumors pop up on Twitter. I was on Twitter, and they keep on saying, Dan Schnieder did this, Dan Schnieder did that. And when you look at, all the TV shows that you watched back in the days, like iCarly, Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, they all have these, innuendos that you, first off, when you were watching it as a kid, you're kind of, thinking it's funny. You were hilarious. It's great to, watch that. It is funny. And then when you look back at it 10 years later, you're like, that just looks really odd. So it's just something that, when people were saying about it around Dan Schnieder, saying that he was just a creep, he was a weirdo, he made something really bad for a kids' television show, I was wondering about it too, because I kept on getting, to be fair, I kept kind of get myself going deeper down the rabbit hole and seeing what the heck happened to my shows that I loved watching so much back in the days. I wanted to check this documentary series out. So when it dropped on ID, I actually was there on the premiere day on that Sunday, just watching those first 2 episodes. And it's groundbreaking, whatever I saw on that show.
Yeah, it really opens your eyes to how these jokes came out to be, because these innuendos, when you watch them as a kid through kid lenses, you think to yourself, oh, it's really funny, haha, tee hee haha, all that kind of stuff, because when you're a kid, you're so impressionable and you're so easy to amuse. But when you're an adult and you look back on these jokes, especially through adult lenses, they actually turn out to be quite uncomfortable.
It very uncomfortable indeed.
Yeah.
I can't really say much. I mean, like, when I first wanted to see it, I wanted to see it. Like, FYI, like, I never heard of ID. Never heard of ID before. Like, apparently this channel apparently makes documentaries. Like, they make like true crime documentaries and stories that, like, you never expect to hear. And out of all places, they make a story that's relatable to us. And I find it funny that it was made by people in Discovery, because we keep on shit talking Warner Brothers Discovery, but they're making something groundbreaking to their competitor Nickelodeon,
which is why it was on Max. And I think this is Warner Brothers' way of saying to us, yeah, well, we didn't sound bad, but what they did was far worse. Focus our attention on bashing them, not us.
I don't know about that. This has been going on since the 90s, so it's like, well, I really can't say much, because, like, I know Warner Brothers Discovery sucks, but I mean, we were all relying on Nickelodeon back then. Like, we all watched the 90s Nick. Everybody has. Like, if you wouldn't be cool if you didn't watch Nickelodeon.
Yeah. The Nickelodeon shows, like, all that, the Amanda show, Kenan and Kel, Drake and Josh, they were, like, the ultimate live action staples of my childhood.
You know what's so funny, though? Kenan and Kel, I don't think had that kind of innuendos, because I don't think there was much talk about Kenan and Kel and Quiet on Set.
Yeah, no, because the treatment of Kenan and Kel wasn't nearly as bad as the shows mentioned.
Well, to be fair, Dan Schnieder was mostly a producer, not a creator. But then again, Dan Schnieder did pick up on the other shows that came in. Amanda's show, I think, was his first one. So.
Oh, yeah. Amanda's show was his go-to show because of the fact of how it stars his golden child, which we're going to touch upon. Mm-hmm. And speaking of golden children, let's talk about Amanda Bynes. Now, Amanda Bynes, like I said, he was Dan Schneider's number one child. Before her, there was Katrina Johnson, but because of Katrina Johnson's weight, Dan Schneider has been underusing her, and eventually he replaced her with Amanda Bynes.
You know what's kind of great? What's kind of crazy was that when I saw Quiet on Set, there were the old, like, audition tapes that Amanda Bynes was in. She was in comedy clubs doing her, like, comedy stuff in the Laugh Factory, for example. She was funny. She was funny.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense why Katrina Johnson, who was just like, to be fair, I haven't heard of that name in quite a while. I would imagine because of what she didn't do anything bad. It was just more like, wow, she's been blacklisted off Dan Schneider's shows.
Yeah, and what they did was they pretty much, body shamed her, all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Because she was getting older, right? I know that she was in all that for a couple of seasons, and then Amanda Bynes jumped in, and she became more of the star in all that.
But more on Amanda Bynes. Her stardom, however, came at the price in terms of her mental health, because her relationship with her parents got significantly worse ever since Dan Schneider came in her life. Because at one point, Dan Schneider wanted Amanda Bynes to run away to join with him in the WB network. Yeah, she wanted to run.
Well, I know, though, she was a part of the What I Like About You show, if I remember.
Yeah, she was part of What I Like About You, and Dan Schneider wanted to be involved with that because Amanda Bynes.
Well, I heard that he wasn't really much involved with that show. He produced the show with another guy, and they were fighting on, like, how the show goes.
Yeah, the WB network did not trust Dan at all.
I think that's great. The WB put a stand on that.
They had a good judge of character. WB network has a good judge of character. So pretty much what happened was that he tried to get Amanda emancipated from her parents in 2004. And it got up to a point where it actually took place in court, where Dan and Amanda Bynes' parents were duking it out. And so, and then after that, Dan leaves What I Like About You, and then he goes back to Nickelodeon, where he would then focus on Drake and Josh. So much later on, we do see that Amanda Bynes' involvement with Dan Schnieder has taken a toll on her to where in her later adult years, she would get involved in really messed up stuff.
Dude, I mean, it's kind of like the Lindsay Lohan situation where, Lindsay Lohan also was a child star and she went through a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes, I mean, she was just a nobody after Amanda's show, to be fair. Like, we don't know what happened to her. I know she did like a lot of other gigs here and there. I remember watching Big Fat Liar with Frankie Muniz. That was a good movie.
Love that movie.
Yeah, that was a great movie. And then after that, I just never heard what happened to her after that. But I didn't know that she would actually go down a path of like, well, she was emancipated, right? She did split from her parents, right?
That's what I've heard is that she tried to get emancipated, but then later on I think Dan Schnieder like lost the case, and then after that, that's when Dan left the WB network. Like,
was that like when Dan stopped being involved with Amanda?
That's when Dan stopped being involved with Amanda, and then he went to...
So I was kind of wondering, like, because I know that the emancipation was a big issue. That's why, like, I believe it was a couple of years ago where, like, Amanda finally got back with her parents or something. Because she was just by herself, and she just went through a lot of, like, druggy stuff here and there. She went through DUIs, and she got mugshots in jail, and... It was just an absolutely low life for Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
And she was just the poster child of Nickelodeon, if you remember correctly. Like, she had her own show. She was, like, hosting, like, every Kids' Choice Award. Well, she's mostly there in every Kids' Choice Award. She's not hosting, but still.
Yeah, she was the poster child of Nickelodeon in terms of live action.
Right. So, I mean, I remember watching Amanda's show, and to be fair, it was a great show. Like, I remember watching her with Drake Bell, which we'll explain later. They both did a great job with like the hillbilly moments.
It's time for a hillbilly moment.
Yeah, and then you saw Amanda Bynes doing the Maha girl, if you remember that. Judge Trudy. Yeah,
Judge Trudy was my favorite.
Yeah, bring in the dancing lobsters.
Yes, I still remember the dancing lobsters.
Yes.
Also, on the side note, I'm going to say this. Amanda Bynes was my childhood crush.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks. Something.
I'm going to say this right now. Like, she was my very first crush.
Wow. Interesting. Huh.
And the more I saw her, the more I thought, I want to be part of this.
Wow. I mean, I didn't expect that. I didn't actually say a crush on that girl. No, so there was that. And yeah, Amanda's show was a really good show. But I just never expected Amanda Bynes to just take a big toll after that. Like, she did grow up to become like somewhat of a movie star with Big Fat Liar and other movies here and there. But yeah, I mean, I don't think so. It's like even after the emancipation, Amanda Bynes just continued to go on a downward spiral. Like, yeah. I just don't know I don't know the full details of like what Amanda did, but it's just like ever since she split with Dan, it's just went downhill. Like, is that the reason why?
Yeah.
Oh wow. So she really trusted on Dan. Is that what we're saying here?
They had a close relationship during their time in Nickelodeon. Like, Amanda and Dan Schnieder were really close.
Yes.
And Dan took advantage of that.
Yeah. I just remember, like, in Quiet on Set, they had this, like, scene where, like, Dan Schnieder would be in the jacuzzi with Amanda, and that was creepy as fuck.
Yeah. It's just gives me shivers.
Well, I just keep on seeing, like, those, like, behind-the-scenes posts as well, where, like, you see Dan, like, literally next to Amanda, they're doing skits together, and there's, like, times where they're just, like, butting heads and things like that. I'm like, well, this is not what you expect. A 30-year-old man hanging out with a, 10-year-old child?
Not creepy at all.
Oh, it's not creepy. But yeah, but I do feel bad for Amanda Bynes. And if anything, I know that she's out of the limelight when it comes to movies and TV right now. I guess I don't know the full details of what Amanda's life is right now, but I know that she's back with her parents and she's like living a quiet life now.
Yeah. And
for the best for her.
Yeah, I just want to say that I just hope that, Amanda Bynes is doing better right now, and I hope that she's getting the help she needs.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say about that. But however, Amanda Bynes is not the only one that has been suffering, because there's also her co-star Drake Bell.
Oh, jeez.
Her former co-star Drake Bell, who's been through so much himself. And especially when it comes to the past relationship he had with his acting coach Brian Peck.
Oh, jeez.
Who was?
I can't say, dude. That third episode that was all Drake Bell and his dad. Yeah. I cannot fathom what the fuck he was going through. Like,
I know.
Holy crap.
And let me just say right now, Joe Bell was definitely a GOAT father. Like, he definitely was Mad Father of the Year.
I mean, he could have at least been more assertive. Like, could have at least stopped Brian Peck. I mean, I'm not going to defend... I obviously say, like, he should have been a better parent. Like, I don't want to say that. I don't know.
No, that goes through his mom. Like, his mom, like, easily gave in. Whereas his dad tried to steer clear from, like, you know, Brian Peck. Like, tried to steer clear his son away from Brian Peck.
Yeah.
But then Brian Peck had the upper hand, unfortunately, and turned Drake against his own father.
Which was, like, so unfortunate.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's absolutely heartbreaking that they pretty much had a rift in the family because of that. And that Mr. Peck guy. My God.
Yes, we're
Look,
talking
we're
about
not,
Mr.
we're not
himself.
going to explain that stuff. Watch the documentary because it's absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, that third episode was all about Drake and his dad. Like, you don't see any other guest stars that were out there. You don't see Giovanni Samuels. You don't see Leon, who was also in all that, or even Kyle Sullivan, who was he was also in the documentary as well. It was just all Drake.
Yeah.
And I believe it was just a very perfect pinnacle for the documentary because Drake Bell was famous. He was everybody's heartthrob back in the 2000s because he had his own show. Drake and Josh was just a hit throughout that generation. Everybody liked Drake, but I believe this documentary series would not be a hit if Drake Bell didn't become present. And I do love the fact that Drake actually came out and actually brought out his story about what happened with him and his coach to say.
Yeah, and I think that having an entire episode dedicated to Drake Bell was perfect because, well, like, he's pretty much one of the biggest victims out of all of them. So, of course, him getting, you know, an entire episode dedicated to him definitely makes sense when you do think about it. And especially when, like, we're not going to say explicitly what it is, but Brian Peck does something so unspeakably vile to him that, yeah. And
I can't explain this shit here.
I can't explain it, but
dude, like,
thankfully though, Brian Peck does get arrested for this sort of thing, and the whole thing goes into court.
But the thing is, like, he didn't get the full punishment to me.
That's the thing, is that it's only 16 months in prison, and that's not nearly enough. He needs 16 years.
Well, here's the thing. Did you remember, like, the people that backed him up?
Yeah. So pretty much what happened was that as they were in the courtroom, right? There's Drake on one side, Drake and his parents, his family on one side, and then you got Brian Peck on the other. Brian's side of the courtroom was full. I'm not kidding. Like, it was full. And
that is what Drake said, yes.
Yeah, and
that is what Drake said.
To which I loved what Drake said to them, and he said, "You will forever have the memory of sitting in this courtroom and defending this person, and I will forever have the memory of the person you're defending violating me and doing unspeakable acts of crimes, and that's what I'll remember."
You know what's surprising, though? Dan Schneider has backed up Drake. If anything, that's the one positive thing about him in this documentary.
Yeah, and that's kind of unexpected, where the main monster himself, Dan Schneider, you would think a person like him would back up Brian Peck instead, but no, he was actually on Drake's side, and he actually did check on Drake to make sure he's okay. So even though Dan Schneider is a complete and total monster, credit where it's due, he did sort of help out when it comes to Drake.
Yeah, but still, the damage was done. Like, Drake was, I would imagine, traumatized throughout the whole entire process. Like, a rifting family, this guy abusing him so much.
Oh,
It just was absolutely tragic to see.
They do so much.
Yeah. And throughout that whole documentary part of that episode, I was like, Drake definitely doesn't want to talk about it. Like, he even said, like, think of the worst possible thing that happened to you and imagine that happening with me and that guy.
Yeah, and not only was the courtroom, half of the courtroom backing up Brian Peck, but also there were letters as well.
Have you seen who wrote those letters?
Yes, I'm going to list some of them right now. James Marsden, who was in the Sonic movies.
He's in the Sonic movie. What the fuck?
Wow. The Sonic movies have now been tainted thanks to him. Like, I'm not even sure I'll watch Sonic 3 unless they replace him.
You can't replace him, unfortunately. This was a long time ago, but still.
Darren Killam, Alan Thicke, writer strong.
Terry Killam, really? The guy from
Yes.
SNL, and
Taran
who's also in like other things. He's a funny guy too. I'm like, wow, really?
I wish I were kidding. That Taran Killam.
Wow.
But, yeah, it was just so disgusting to see so many people back Brian Peck up, because this is very serious, and it got to a point where they would even victim blame. They victim blame Drake Bell, even though.
Do you think it's like a generation thing? Of like, oh, this was happening back in 2000s. This was the norm back then.
I don't care whatever excuse you have to have, even if it's generation or whatever. I don't care. There is absolutely no excuse for doing something this vile.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if you're traumatizing a kid like Drake Bell. Like, ugh.
Seriously.
I just didn't expect those letters to come out, and it would be like backing up a freaking gross guy like him. Like, I know. I just didn't know about that. Yeah. And you know what's kind of funny, though? He didn't, like, yes, he ended up having that jail time, and it's also registered as something we can't say here. But he still worked on a show. He still worked on TV for some damn reason.
It really does say a lot. Like, it really is sad when freaking Dan Schnieder has much better judgment of the situation than they do.
No. I'm just saying, like, the guy, Brian Peck, continued on working on other TV shows, which I was like, wait.
He worked on Disney Channel with Sweet Life of Zack
I
and
thought your
Cody.
reputation was already tarnished with that sort of crime.
Yeah.
And I guess that just got written off, and you still worked on a
Disney
Channel
Channel
show.
Why? Disney Channel, why'd you pick him up?
It's just, I look, I don't get Hollywood back then. I don't know what happened in kids TV generation back in the 2000s, but this was the norm back in the 2000s. This is absolutely like mind-blowing, because
it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's mind-blowing. It's like, what the heck were we thinking back then?
Seriously.
But then again, like, I was 12, 13 watching these shows, and I was like, oh, this is just funny. Maybe just because we were kids, it's just like, oh, mentality-wise, we don't think of it being like this or that, you know?
Yeah, because when you're a kid, you know, your mind doesn't grasp the complexities of certain situations or shows or episodes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, Drake's episode was absolutely tarnishing. Like, I can understand what happened to Drake after things went downhill for him too, just like Amanda Bynes, for example.
Yeah, you can't help but feel bad for the poor guy. You can't help but feel bad for the poor guy, but at the same time, Drake Bell did some pretty horrible stuff too. But this episode opens eyes, gives us explanation as to why he did.
Yeah. I feel like his behavior is because of what happened back then.
Yeah.
Yes.
While it doesn't excuse it, it definitely explains it. It definitely explains a lot.
Yes. Oh man. Either way, that was just groundbreaking. And Drake Bell, even though he's like pretty bad himself too.
Yeah, but
it doesn't forgive the fact that he also did get this treatment as well. So this may have been the influence of why he started acting like this right now.
Yeah, it's just it's really unfortunate too, because like Drake Bell continued the cycle. What happened was that he continued this cycle. I do feel bad for him, but at the same time, he's gotta answer for his own crimes as well. So it's sort of like mixed emotions.
Okay, I get it. Like, he did crime, but would we also blame his past for causing these crimes that he's doing right now?
Yeah, we would. I would say that like Brian Peck is the one that started it. He started the cycle, so he's the main.
Well, it's more like the whole environment back then too. I mean, yeah, that's just absolutely gross. But if anything, Drake Bell should hopefully have a brighter future ahead. At least he already came out. Remember that during that case, it was the quote anonymous person that was being abused, and it turned out to be Drake Bell. Yeah, and I love the fact that they actually brought him out. I'm like, oh my god, like. When I saw the trailer of like the documentary series coming out, and then Drake Bell coming out of the shadows, I was like, Drake out of all people? And I remember watching him, and he's just a great guy. I'm like, he was abused?
Yeah. That the man himself, like, he was the John Doe. He was the John Doe.
The John Doe. Yeah. And you know what though? Props out to Drake, because like he showed out he was courageous. He brought out his story to this documentary series, and now all of us are reacting to it, like what everybody's doing on Twitter right now.
Yeah, I gotta give massive props to Drake Bell for his bravery and for coming out and exposing his predator.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But no matter what, I mean, it at least the one thing that I kind of like the best here is the fact that him and his dad are back together. They look like they're cooperating again. But yeah, I got not much to say when it comes to Drake Bell's story.
Yeah, I wish the best for not just Drake Bell, but especially Joe Bell himself. Like Joe Bell is such a great man and a wonderful father, especially. And then, so now after that, we're gonna move on to now we've discussed the innuendos that have occurred in the show, but let me just say the innuendos are the least of Dan Schneider's problems, because he's also shown to be quite a monster to his employees, both of child age and of adult age. Like from demanding back massages from the female staffers to underpaying women to a point where two of them had to split their salary, which by the way is illegal.
It's illegal, yes.
And overall being a massive creep towards the child actors who worked on these shows. And there's a laundry list of Schneider's monstrous deeds that we could cover, but we just had to highlight his most horrendous ones. Now, Nate, I'd like you to take the floor. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
What do you mean? Like,
what are your thoughts on everything I just said about Dan Schneider's horrible misdeeds?
It's absolutely unfair, and it also leads to a toxic work environment, and it does make sense why we have this documentary series talking about the toxic work environment that happened in the kids shows. I mean, the writers have to deal with like all these jokes that came in. I remember like somebody putting up a story that she was being, I can't say the S word, but apparently that was a joke in the writers' room, and I was like, you can't do that. That's absolutely wrong, especially to a woman.
I know, seriously.
I don't know. It just feels like it's like a man versus women sort of thing environment that was happening back in the kids' TV. Yes, we have female writers that are there to help out when it comes to TV shows, but not like in an environment that Dan did, because it feels like a, how do I say this? So it's like a fraternity. It feels like a fraternity, like in college.
It really does. Like what Dan Schneider has set up is basically this boys' club sort of environment, and not to mention the amount of misogyny towards those women.
Yeah, and it's just so much like hard like things to hear with the fact that these like great women who just came out to talk about their story, like they talk about all the things that they had to go through, like low pay was one thing, split pay was another thing. So many things that, shouting, a lot of like miscommunication and a lot of like bickering between Dan Schneider and those folks that worked on the shows. It's just toxic, and especially for the women that were working over there. Like hearing their stories out there during that documentary series was just heartbreaking. Like to hear that they are being this, like hearing that Dan is this vile to them. Talking about this, saying things like saying threats, for example, like what was it? You will not work on Hollywood anymore. You will work at Nickelodeon if you rat me out, or something like that.
Yeah, like he threatened to he on the phone call he threatened to fire one of the female employees if she ever came out about him.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, you made a bet and you didn't pay for that bet, and then Dan got angry about that. It's like those kind of like stories that make me think, oh my god, like, what are you leading here, Dan? And I get it. Like, we get it. It's the 90s, but still, like, it does lead to the fact that the work environment there is absolutely toxic.
Yeah, it really is. There's really no excuse other than the fact that, it's an environment that took place during that time. But then again, that argument can only go so far.
Mm-hmm. I can't say much. It's just really just hard to talk when it comes to what they had to witness.
And not to mention the fact also, it's not just the women's staff, like the writers and all this stuff. He's really horrible towards the kid actors as well. Like not only would he be creepy towards them, but he would even be, hostile towards them, like on set and off. Like there was one point where Jenette McCurdy in her memoir called "I'm Glad My Mom Died," which by the way I have the book too.
Oh, you actually have the book? I have the book with me. I don't have the book, so I don't know if it's actually like readable, but I would imagine it talks about like her life as Sam Puckett in iCarly.
It's actually before, during, and after iCarly. That's pretty much, it touches upon her relationship with her toxic mother,
because her mother wants to have her like child become like a star and have all the glory, like becoming a star mom or something.
The book delves into that, but also one thing I noticed is that Jenette referred to Dan as the creator because she dreaded having to refer.
Well, you can't.
by name.
I would imagine like you can't say the name or else you might get sued. You know, I think
Dan might come after her.
Yeah, exactly. So if
another.
anything, that actually is smart that Jenette McCurdy actually did do that.
So she pretty much pointed out that there is a dark side that Dan uses, and he uses often, to a point where he would call these actors and call the other staffers like, idiots, useless, and all that kind of stuff.
That kind of reminds me of a boss that I had back in like the 2020s.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. So I mean, if Dan is running things like that, why didn't anybody? Okay, I get it. They're scared to speak up because I just feel like there's a pinnacle in Hollywood. Like, if you do this, you're gonna be blacklisted from Hollywood. Like, there comes a big feat if you start like saying stuff here and there. Like, you talk back to your boss, you'll get fired, and then you're not working in Hollywood anymore. Which, is, I think, in the 2000s, something that you don't want to have because you'll be blacklisted. And that's something that you don't want to do.
Yeah, and because of the fact that they're children, and children are more submissive, they're more, they're more like, how kids are. Oh, I don't want to get in trouble, so I'd have to obey him.
Well, it's more towards adults and kids. It's adults and kids. Yes. But here's the thing: like, did Dan shout to kids? I don't know about that.
Like Dan treated them really horribly, but
do you recall something in the documentary that says that? I don't remember.
Like I recall them. I recall Dan pretty much. I
think it's Alexa Nicholas that actually did that. I don't know. I might be wrong.
Like Dan was, like I said, was pretty hostile towards them, and and then there's this foot fetish that you remember the foot fetish also. There's
a lot of foot fetishes in the show, dude. There's too many foot fetishes in the show. Like, look at iCarly. Okay, so if I want to look back at history about when it comes to quote fetishes that happened, look back at iCarly. Like, season 1 and 2 did have its moments where it actually did show up, like this gross thing happening, that gross thing happening. But then when you look at season 3, 4, and 5, it shows up a lot more often. Like, you get to see Gibby like play with his feet, take pictures of his feet. That's one thing.
Oh God.
Yeah. Somebody nibbling on feet or something. There's this one scene in one episode of iCarly where like Miranda Cosgrove, Carly, was like in a bathtub, and then her toe got stuck on a faucet, and it was half of the episode is mostly like her trying to get the toe out, but it's still the feet is being shown. So there's more foot fetish that pops up there. But I feel like it got worse in Victorious. When Victorious came out, that started to actually put the pinnacle when it comes to foot fetishes. Like, it is what it was. And I'm like, dude, why are we allowing this in like recent shows? iCarly came out in 2008. This was late 2000s, 2010s, where that movement of Me Too started to happen. Yes. So I'm like wondering, why are we allowing this? Because I believe that was when the decline of iCarly started. Because like I cannot watch season 4 and season 5 iCarly anymore because the fetishes were showing up in real time. And even if what sucks is that there was an episode where Michelle Obama was actually in the episode.
I remember. Yeah.
That was very big for iCarly.
How did they get the first lady? Well, back when she was first lady, to be in iCarly.
I don't know. Maybe Dan Schnieder did something. And also, what's kind of creepy is that there was actually this one scene where like Michelle Obama actually wants something, and then you get to see Dan Schnieder actually whisper in her ear, and I'm like, oh, this is creepy now.
Yeah. I would say I wonder what he was whispering to her, but then I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, there's one scene in Victorious. I don't think it's a scene, but it's more towards like one short clip in Victorious where we get to see Tori actually show her feet in front of a camera, and it's getting poured with ketchup. And I'm like, oh god. We did warn y'all it's gonna be disgusting. So yeah.
And also, I think that how one of the Nickelodeon logos was a orange foot.
Yes.
That was
that Dan
one.
Schneider's idea?
It was more like either Dan Schneider's idea or it might have been a warning as to what's to come in the future.
Well, it was like back in the days too. It wasn't the regular Nick logo that we know right now. Like it was like long time ago logo. Yeah, but no, I mean the fetishes were definitely out there.
Yeah, and the more the later shows that he would put out, the more seasons he would do, the more fetishes and innuendos he put down.
I understand Nickelodeon was like very unhinged when it comes to Dan Schneider and his shows. I mean, they definitely went unhinged. Like I said before with iCarly and Victorious. Look back in those like episodes and you'll see that there's something wrong when it comes to those episodes.
Yeah. And you know what? You mentioned the hashtag #MeToo movement. So I kind of want to touch upon 2018, back when the hashtag #MeToo movement was still at its peak. And one by one, there have been investigations of many famous people who have been outed from the Hollywood and the entertainment industry. Like people like Harvey Weinstein, Chris Savino.
Ew, why would you say that name in front of me right now? Disgusting.
I know.
Hello, Loud House fan. How dare you bring that in my face, sir?
I didn't want to talk about him, but I just wanted to bring up an example. And of course, Dan Schneider himself was no exception. And ever since then, his reputation has been tarnished, and Nickelodeon finally cut ties with Dan Schneider. Alex, what are your thoughts about it?
Oh, I think it's a little too late. It was way too late for Dan Schneider to finally get cut in 2018.
Why did they do this 2 decades ago? Why didn't they do this 3 decades ago?
Because I have a feeling it's just how Hollywood was back then. In the 2000s, if you ever look back at your boss, you're going to get axed. I mean, that's the unfortunate part about Hollywood, that, people had to go through this, but thanks to the movements that have been going on in Hollywood, they at least were able to get some equality here when it comes to workplace, like toxicity and stuff of that nature.
Yes. People like Dan Schneider are the reason why I am so grateful that there's a hashtag #MeToo movement to prevent stuff like this happening again.
Yeah. Well, Me Too kind of is still, well, here's the thing. If anything, Me Too movement back in 2018 at least was able to at least give some equality for like all genders to have a place to work in any environment, to say.
Exactly, where they feel safe in the work environments, where they aren't in any danger or anything like that. Like they could just work safe.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, this was just. I mean, you're really 2 decades too late with so many things that popped up for Dan Schneider. Like, there's just so many things that make me feel like he should have been fired earlier. Like iCarly, when I was watching iCarly back in 2010s. I looked at the stuff that he was doing back then, and I was like, this isn't funny anymore. I looked at Victorious. I remember watching like the first season of Victorious, and I thought that was great. Then I watched season 2 and season 3, and I started to think like, we're running out of ideas. This show sucks now. And then look at the other shows that he made too. Henry Danger. I don't care about that show. Game Shakers. I don't care about that show. All the other things that Dan was like involved with. Like, I just feel like he started to decline when the iCarly Victoria started to decline. Like, when you start putting up the fact that, hey, I have free roaming, I am free to do whatever I want in my show, I can go ahead and put this stuff in my show. And that's when you start to feel like, okay, now I'm getting to see the real nature of what Dan is trying to put out. This is like, dude, you don't expect Gibby to take pictures of feet. That's disgusting.
Yeah, seriously.
It's just absolutely weird. And I do feel I really feel proud for example, like Jenette McCurdy, because she went through that phase of whatever was going on there. It was just, I would imagine it being cruel for Jenette, considering that she had to work under that guy, Dan Schneider, and she went through 5 seasons of that. 5 seasons of that. And then she also went through a spin-off show, Sam and Cat. Although, what's kind of funny is that, like, Ariana Grande, she started on Victorious. And look at her now. She's a pop star.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how actors and actresses from his shows end up becoming successful or not. I mean, Kenan Thompson, look at him now. He's in SNL. Cal Mitchell, he's still in Good Burger doing things. What was it? there, like I said, there's some lucky ones that actually made it through. Miranda Cosgrove, she's still doing Hollywood. Like, she did a reboot of the iCarly show and is going to be in Despicable Me 4. So, again, like, there's some good that came out of it, but obviously big treacherous stuff going on with these other actors and actresses that just continue to, like, haunt me to this day. Like, oh my God, why didn't you tell us now that this man ruined your guys' lives? Like, for Kyle Massey. Oh, not Kyle Massey. Whoops, that's the wrong guy. Kyle Sullivan. Whoops, wrong
Brian
guy.
Hearn. Brian Hearn also.
Who's Brian Hearn? Oh, yeah.
The African-American guy.
Yeah. And of course, Leon, he also was in the Giovanni Samuels. I remember watching her in the reboot, all that, back in the 2000s. Was it Drake Bell? We talked about him. Amanda Bynes. So many other folks that were like victimized by Dan Schnieder. I would imagine there's a lot more folks that are out there just doesn't want to talk about their story. There's a lot of kid actors that are in Dan Schneider shows that continue to like I would imagine they were watching this documentary. They should probably bring out their story too.
Yeah. So while some actors from 90s Nickelodeon ended up having their careers boosted, there are some others, though, that went downhill. So it's more along the case of, you've had some who went through ups and others who went through downs. And I would say that I would say this right now. I think that the timing of Nickelodeon letting go of Dan Schneider was just way too coincidental, because keep in mind that during the time that Nickelodeon finally decided to let go of Dan, like remove Dan, was during the #MeToo movement. I would imagine the reason why Nickelodeon did it at the time was because they didn't want to face bad PR.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, they're kind of facing bad PR right now. Yeah,
they brought us on themselves, so
exactly. Yeah, I mean that is the thing. Like, it still was too late because you honored Dan Schneider in your Kids' Choice Awards. If you remember that.
Yeah. Oh God, why?
And what's kind of crazy is that most of the stars that were on stage were all congratulating him. Drake and Josh, especially.
Oh my God. I mean, Drake, I could somewhat understand because he was by his side.
But then they didn't know about the whole thing behind the scenes about what he done with his shows. I mean, what was it? The people from Victorious were all up there. The people from iCarly were all up there. And then they are supporting a person that has just involved a bad work environment in Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kids oblivious? You guys are probably like young adults by now. You should have known. You should know by now that these things that you're seeing are wrong.
As their brains mature, you start to put 2 and 2 together. So right. I feel like you should have put 2 and 2 together back then,
But then again, these were like kid actors. And still, like, even in Victorious, I would imagine those kid actors were like in their teen years, if anything, like 16 to 18 years old, And for them to at least cheer on this one man, like, that KCA now starts to get like all tainted up with the fact that he was a part of a Lifetime Achievement Award for the KCAs. I'm like, well, KCAs kind of suck now, thanks to him.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not very fond of the KCAs to be honest, but yeah, I'm gonna say this right now.
Well, you saw the documentary series. There was a segment about the KCAs where he ended up getting honored as a Lifetime Achievement Award for him.
I saw that, and yeah, it definitely was awkward to watch.
Yeah, now it makes me think like, oh great, now I don't like KCAs.
I mean, I never found the KCAs very credible source, anyways. But yeah, like this pretty much opened my eyes, like especially during that KCAs where they had honored Dan Schneider. Like when you look back on it now, you have this uncomfortable feeling as you're watching it.
Right, exactly.
And I will say this. I'll say this too. What was I going to say? Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. There is more stories to be coming out, and there's a reason why episode 5 is going to be coming out.
That is right. Future. So there will be a brand new episode of Quiet on Set that'll be coming out this April. It will feature more people talking about their stories, including Drake Bell again. And I believe there's going to be more stars coming out, but they are currently working on it at the moment. Who knows if there's going to be a brand new star coming out saying their story about working with Dan Schneider.
Yeah, like rather it be a new actor coming out, or rather it be one of the recurring actors that have come on this documentary. I'm still looking forward to more details regardless, because we want more exposure. The more exposure, the better.
Mm-hmm. Now, I kind of want to bring it back to me here, and I do want to talk to you about the backlash, the aftermath of the documentary series. We have been seeing Nickelodeon decline really badly right now. Like, I have not seen new episodes of shows besides Really Loud House and That Girl Lele. That Girl Lele got canceled, by the way. They're running their last episodes on the network. Really Loud House currently is on right now. And to be fair, look, that's the only thing that's going to like live up to Nickelodeon right now. If anything, at least they have a good work environment. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, yeah.
But look, where's your SpongeBob? Where's Loud House? Where's the animated shows that you have been currently promoting? Even Rock, Paper, Scissors doesn't even have any episodes. Nickelodeon is quiet right now. Like, we get it. The backlash is huge right now. Everybody's talking about it in the social media, and people are saying cancel Nickelodeon, which, to be fair, makes us think now, is Nickelodeon done? What are your thoughts on, after seeing this documentary series, do you think Nick is kind of in its grave right now?
Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that I hope that, Nickelodeon crashes and burns. Honestly, I'm not going to say I hope Nickelodeon gets shut down because of this, because there are people working in Nickelodeon that rely on it as their livelihoods, who have nothing to do with Dan Schneider or, involving any people within the documentary. So I'm just going to say right now, for their sake, I hope it doesn't, shut down. But Nickelodeon definitely needs to be held accountable for this.
Well, I know they are held accountable for it. They are doing as much as they can. I mean, Nickelodeon did put out some words of concern. I mean, some words of like sympathy for Drake Bell, considering that he brought out his story. I mean, have you seen the text that was popping up while you're watching the documentary? That the response Nick had, the responses that Nickelodeon has done, Dan Schneider has said it, stuff like that. They are all over through that documentary, and if anything, Nick is trying to cover their butts.
That's what I mean. Like, it doesn't come off as genuine to me. It comes off as disingenuous. I feel like
here's the thing. They have to do at least something to at least say, we're very sorry about this, but you got to show us more than that. If you're a PR team, you're supposed to recover yourself out of something that just came out so newsworthy, so heartbreaking, so company shattering, that it could make you just be erased, deleted.
That apology feels so corporate instead of heartfelt. I'm waiting for a day where Nickelodeon actually releases a heartfelt public apology.
I don't know what they're going to do. Like, Nickelodeon feels like they're in the dumps right now. Like, if you've been seeing what they've been doing, they've been, canceling, pages off Nickelodeon's website. That Girl Lele is gone. Other stuff are gone. Big Nate, for example, somehow that's gone. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? Is Nick done? Things are shutting down all over that network. I'm like, oh no, this does feel like the backlash is starting for this network.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that it's going to, crash and burn immediately, but I have a feeling that Nickelodeon is starting its slow demise.
Right, it's going to have a slow demise, and obviously it feels like they're doing something on the live action side. You don't see That Girl Lele anymore. Really Loud House, we don't know that's future yet. There could be a new season, maybe because they have a good work environment there. I don't know. Tyler Perry's Young Dylan, I don't know about that future too. But if you've been seeing the other Nick shows that popped up via live action, they're mostly one and dones. That Nick Warp show is gone. That new, what was it? There's that new side-by-side show. I forgot the name of the show, but that also got canceled as well. They have been one and done shows. Is it because Dan Schneider's gone? Doesn't matter. You still have some good creators that can actually work on good shows. It's just that maybe they're doing something in Nickelodeon that's saying maybe it's internal. I'm kind of putting out like thoughts here. I feel like it's internal right now, where it's like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm working under this environment or under this guy that just ruled over Nickelodeon. Bye bye. Maybe they're leaving Nickelodeon because of this. And that's why shows are just being axed off the network right now.
Yeah, because of this documentary, Nickelodeon is in really bad shape. And it's up to a point where when you look at, the Nicktoons schedule, it's filled with,
No, it's all SpongeBob.
It's nothing but... It's 80% SpongeBob and 20% Loud House.
Which means that your variety of shows... What's kind of crazy is the fact that, they were actually airing other cartoons as well. They had Avatar that was there like for a couple of weeks. They had Monster High, Smurfs, but it was mostly all SpongeBob, Loud House, and Casa Grandes were also there too, by the way.
Yeah,
Casa Grandes. But no, I mean, they're saying it's because of the 25th anniversary. They're celebrating it really early, and I'm like, dude, you're supposed to celebrate it in July when you have the KCAs come out. But I have no idea what is going on here. It just feels like there is some sort of thing behind the scenes in Nickelodeon that is ruining their reputation right now. I mean, obviously the documentary is one thing, but what are they doing to try to recover from all the bad publicity that's happening in Nickelodeon?
I feel like the things that Nickelodeon are doing, like I said, it's not enough. Nickelodeon has to do more. You know what I mean? In terms of their response to the documentary.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're gonna do. Right now, it feels like they're under construction. Like they're doing something to try and fix themselves.
They're under fire.
Yeah, they're absolutely under fire. And I want to credit like Business Insider who made this documentary. Like it's so groundbreaking. It's so amazing to see. Like, oh my God, what have we been watching throughout our lives back when we were kids? You know, if anything, but the future that I'm looking at for Nickelodeon is that you have to clean house. I think that right now you have to clean house.
Yeah.
Change up your management, change the folks that are currently working on Nickelodeon, and maybe there could be another person that could really help the network out. Maybe a great director from some other series can come in and make a great series for Nickelodeon. That could help out the live action department. As for the animation department, you already have Loud House and You already have Loud House and SpongeBob. Those two are pretty much your franchise shows. And now please give respect to the other cartoons that are going to be on Nickelodeon as well. Rock, Paper, Scissors, is that going to last long? Who knows? Smurfs didn't last long. Yeah. Monster High didn't last long. Even though they had a good rep. Yeah, I'm just like, you gotta give more strives up. I mean, Tales of the TMNT, that's coming out soon. Let that become a good franchise. I mean, TMNT is a big franchise for Nickelodeon too. So where's that? I mean, do something to at least make sure Nickelodeon can stay strong. Especially the live action department, because if you're trying to compete against Disney Channel for live action, you're losing big time. Oh yeah,
badly. Like, okay, Disney Channel has its own faults as well in terms of the live action department, but my God, Nickelodeon's live action department is so much worse. So yeah, I would say that while I don't think it's necessarily too late to get back into the good graces, it's going to take a lot of work, and you've got a long way to go before you pretty much get back to where you were, like in terms of your reputation, and all that stuff. Well,
not only that, but how do you like the fact that there's other people that are out there sharing their own stories too about the work environment at Nickelodeon?
I love it. I love the fact of how these former child actors are coming out and expressing their experiences with such a toxic work environment that, Dan Schnieder created and Nick enabled. Like, we need more of this, which is why I'm excited for episode 5. The more exposure, the better.
So I keep seeing like other stars actually say something about things that Nickelodeon allowed, or just like through through their backside or something like that. Just like turn their back away from it. Apparently, if you guys watch the Hunt and Hathaways, one of the actresses actually said that there was this one person that actually forced a girl to kiss someone, and I'm like, an older boy actually, and I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. There's that. That's Declassified also, if you remember watching that show. You remember the people that are behind the people that were like the main 3 of the Declassified series?
I remember. Yeah.
Yes. So they have a podcast series. They were under fire for actually laughing about the documentary series.
Yeah, they were pretty much poking fun of Quiet on Set, what these kids went through, especially Drake Bell. And then it was at a point where Devin was like, where are the holes? Show me the holes. All this stuff.
Okay, but then after he watched the whole documentary series, he did give a sincere apology. Both him, Devin, Lindsay Shaw, and the other guy too. No matter what, the 3 of them literally apologized, and it's like, good, do that. But look, they also did say that they do feel sympathy for Drake Bell, especially with the fact that he went through all of that, that we've listened through in Quiet on Set.
Yeah, I will give points for Devin for apologizing and for saying he feels sympathy, but it's something that's going to take a long time for us to forget. honestly. Like
You're not gonna forgive Devin?
Like it was insensitive. So I'm glad.
Well, I mean,
I'm glad he apologized, but still,
it's a sincere apology. You can't just like, what? Give me another video where he laughs at it. Maybe that's when I'll start hating him. Okay.
I mean, like he did apologize, like I said, but like I said before, it's just gonna take a long time to fully forget.
Oh, don't tell me that you hate this Declassified now.
I have fond memories of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. It was one of my favorite shows during my childhood.
Yeah, I remember watching that too.
Yeah.
Before it became Big Time Rush, and look how Big Time Rush was. It was great too.
Like, while I'm saying, like, I don't fully forgive Devin for what he did, but I do half forgive him. Like,
actually, what's a good point here? Carlos Pena, Vega, can you tell us more about the things behind the scenes at Big Time Rush? Come on, Bobby Santiago.
That actually may be for another episode.
Yeah,
quite on set.
I don't know. Maybe Carlos Pena Vega could probably say something about it. But again, there's a lot of other shows that. This was also led behind, not even by Dan Schnieder, another director, if anything. So yeah. It kind of tells you like Nickelodeon was running well with other people that were also running on live action shows, like for example, Nessie Classified and Big Time Rush, Haunted Hathways, and a bunch of other like live action shows.
Well, not necessarily Haunted Hathways because of that one incident.
Okay, it's only one incident, yes, but that's not directed by Dan.
It's not directed by Dan, but it was still quite an ugly incident in of itself.
Yes, that was quite an ugly incident. I can't really say much. I mean, most of the shows have been produced by Dan. Everything else, though, like I've said before, Ned's Declassified and Big Time Rush, maybe they have their own stories too, but I've not heard anything about it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a clean environment. I don't know. They were maybe recording in another spot of Nickelodeon. I don't know.
It could be. Like, there were some shows, some live action shows, in which they were actually legit good work environments. Really Loud House has been. I look at Really Loud House and I think to myself, they're really having really fun here.
Yeah. So, and like everybody looks like they're having fun. I mean, if you look at like everybody's Instagram right now, like every Loud's Instagram that were on the show are pretty much doing their own videos and saying they're having a fun time and stuff. Even promoting the heck out of the Really Loud House. So if anything, they're having fun behind like what we're seeing, but behind the scenes, we don't know.
Every other Nickelodeon live action show should take note from this.
Well, we'll see. I don't even know. Maybe like Wolfgang will probably say something about, "Oh my god, I hate this show. Oh my god, they're abusing me." I
hope not, because I do want these, kids to have fun working on them. Now, despite my own problems with Really Loud House, I do look at the cast and I say that their acting is pretty solid and for what it is, and they look like they're having fun with it. They feel like a legitimate Loud family. So you know what? I'm happy for them for having this experience.
I have to say this, though. I mean, besides comparing these shows, I mean, if anything, are we looking at a new slate for Nickelodeon? I mean, obviously, for me, I say obviously yes. They need to change up everything. And then maybe if things go well, we might be looking at a network that's better, like a better environment for kids working over there, like they could have better shows over there. They obviously the cartoon department, the animation department's doing pretty well with SpongeBob, knowing that they have 3 shows of SpongeBob. But for the live action department, obviously things have to change. Like obviously the monster's out. Now it's time to bring in some new faces, and hopefully we'll get a thriving show off the bat.
Yeah. Now, in terms of a new slate for Nickelodeon live action shows, like, here's the thing. While it's not impossible, like it's gonna take a long time in order for that slate to become a clean slate. It's gonna take a long time.
We know that, but if anything, things have to change. Yes, things have to change in Nickelodeon. I don't want the network to go. That's my main point here. I don't want the network to go.
I really don't either, because there are people who rely on this because they need it for their jobs. They need to make money off it. So
well, I mean, at the same time, I'm like, you're trying to entertain kids, and Nickelodeon has been has been a network since the 80s that people grew up watching, and to see it tarnished by a monster like Dan kind of makes you feel like heartbroken inside of you, because you grew up watching these shows. You grew up watching these cartoons and these shows, and some of these have been produced by a monster, and it just feels icky, yes. But for like those that are going to be watching Nickelodeon, like in younger generations, for example, like they need to at least see Nickelodeon as it is, and hopefully look for it as a better way to make the network strive. You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this right now. Like, now that Dan Schneider is out, I can see Nickelodeon live action shows becoming better in terms of work environments. I could see.
Well,
it
yeah.
becoming
When it
much
comes to
better.
work and when it comes to work environments, everybody's treated well. Yes.
Yeah. But like I'm saying before, it's like the reformation, the Nickelodeon live action reform. While not impossible, it's going to take a long time
No.
for it to, come to fruition.
Yeah, we get that too, but we'll see how that goes. But again, this has been quite a tough talk. I will not gonna lie, I cannot say much more when it comes to this documentary series. It was absolutely just shocking to see the kid stars that we grew up with, like they face this abuse and so much more. And seeing these monsters that are that apparently are not in showbiz anymore, thank God.
Good.
But it's more like, wow, we let that slide. We ruined their lives.
Yeah.
And I just feel so bad. Like for everybody that was working on all that, for Drake and Josh, for Amanda Bynes especially, considering how close she was with Dan. It was just heartbreaking to watch it all. I can't really say more when it comes to this documentary series, but I think it was something that was definitely needed to be brought out. And if anything, kids TV shows now need to look into the future and actually treat their kid actors and actresses right, treat their staff right, and then not make that toxic work environment that has been talked about in this documentary series. And in any case, this would lead up to maybe a potentially good show, but we don't know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say right now, my heart and sympathies go out to those who were affected by by Dan's actions, by Nick's complicity, and by a really toxic work environment that has been brought upon these individual actors. And yeah, I really do hope that they get all the help they need and all the support we need, and we do stand by the victims.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this was something that obviously was out of our control. I couldn't even fathom talking about this, to be fair. It's tough for me to actually say it, like all the things that they had to go through, but I had to tough it out for this one.
This was something that once I saw a documentary, I thought to myself, this is something I have to talk about because this is a really important documentary. And especially how it really does show how childhood stardom, when it's being used in the wrong way, can really affect your future in a bad way.
I mean, look
It really
at
does.
Amanda, look at Drake and Bell, look at Jenette McCurdy. So all of them had to deal with a toxic work environment, a toxic boss, and just so many other folks that were just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
If anything, kids TV should look into this documentary series and look forward for something that could lead to a better work environment, to better staff, and a lot of other things.
I agree 100%. This is something that is to be like a lesson learned in the hardest way possible. You know?
Yeah, indeed. Anything else you want to bring up for this documentary series?
Yeah. This is definitely something that is like, while I do applaud this documentary because of how amazing it is and how it tackles the dark side of kids TV, I can't help but feel really betrayed by this because, I grew up with all that. I grew up with Amanda's show. I grew up with Drake and Josh. Those were the live action shows that were a staple part of my childhood, along with the Nicktoons, the cartoons, of course. So, other than the cartoons, these were my go-to. And to see what went on behind the scenes just absolutely breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm. I cannot look into watching all of the Dan Schneider shows anymore. I mean, I was a huge fan of iCarly, a huge fan of Drake and Josh, and it's like, well, I'll have if I were to watch it just randomly, it would just be with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Like I have iCarly in the back of my mind, like as background noise, because it's like a really fun, entertaining thing to watch. But now knowing the fact that this stuff was like absolutely in the show, I'm like, I can't really look at it as it is anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
It's just like, yeah, when you look back at Drake and Josh, for example, you're not going to watch it like as it is anymore, huh?
Yeah, no, I don't think I can watch another Drake and Josh episode again because
Oh, wow.
because it's, like maybe I'll watch some episodes here and there, but it's not going to be something that I'm going to be watching nearly as much as I used to.
It's not like, yeah, I can't say much. I can't watch Victorious anymore after like knowing the fact that like these were all intentional.
Yeah.
All the jokes that were in that show were all intentional. And I'm like, now it makes me not want to watch Victorious anymore. Not maybe want to watch Zoey 101 anymore. Even though it was like the hit back in the 2000s. Yeah.
And all that as well, like all that. While I will say like I have listened to the song because the song is really catchy, I don't find myself watching any of the sketches.
Okay, but how about Kenan and Kel? Are you gonna watch that? It's weird because like if that didn't really get much offense or anything like that because it wasn't made by Dan Schnieder, but Dan Schnieder was involved with that show. Still, that show is a banger.
I'll still watch Kenan and Kel, of course. Like Kenan and Kel is one of my go-tos.
Oh, here it goes.
Yes.
And also, this is the start of Kenan and Kel. Kenan Thompson started to be successful. Kel Mitchell did the same thing too.
Also, recipes Coolio.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, you gotta remind me of him, man. He sang the theme song.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I think we pretty much can like settle it down here. But for those who didn't watch Quiet on Set, it's currently available on Max for you to watch. 4 episodes are currently out on the streaming platform, and you can watch the 5th episode of Quiet on Set with more stars on the episode that will be revealing their stories in April.
Mm-hmm. So get ready for that. Get ready for more info. Get ready for more exposure. Get ready for more episodes.
It's hard. This was really tough. I mean, dude, it's really tough to actually put an episode for.
Tough but important.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised, Omid, how courageous you are talking about this stuff.
Well, yeah, because as someone who grew up with these shows, like I was a huge 90s Nickelodeon kid. Like the 90s Nickelodeon kid in me was begging me for me to say this, and also because of the fact of how, as someone who wanted to be an actor, like aspired to be an actor myself, like as a kid, I dreamed of having this lifestyle where I would star alongside Amanda Bynes in the Nick show. But, when I look back at it now, I'm just like, I'm thankful it didn't happen.
Oh, you just wanted to be with Amanda Bynes because you liked her.
Yeah.
Okay, to be fair, when I was like, 14 or 15 years old, I actually like Miranda Cosgrove. Okay, so
that's fair.
Yeah. She was like my crush when I was like watching iCarly. Okay,
and plus it's one of those that delves into the toxic side of the entertainment industry, particularly towards kids shows. So this was something that really is important to me.
I understand your point here, so that's good to hear. Well. This was a tough episode for me to talk about. Obviously, I didn't want to go into what was happening in that podcast, but I toughed it out, if anything.
We did it.
Oh, hey. No, my heart was beating.
It's over.
My heart was beating, okay? Just putting it out there.
The tough part is over.
Oh, my gosh.
In future episodes, we're going to be talking about much lighter stuff, more lighthearted stuff. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, if anything, we do want to talk about next week because it's going to be an all Casa Grande's movie episode next week. So get ready for that, everybody.
Yes, let's go.
We call it the big Casa Grande's movie review. So we're going to go through like everything when it comes to the interview that we've done to how we were able to actually watch the movie before everybody else did.
Oh yeah, all the good stuff.
Yeah, all the good stuff. And then obviously how we were able to get our questions to Miguel and Darren. And in the end, review the movie, which to be fair, we gave amazing positive reviews for this movie.
Oh yeah. Let's just say that, bit of a spoiler, but the Casa Grande's movie, we loved it, and we're going to tell you why next week.
Yeah. That's what I said. Positive reviews. That's all I can say. Everybody else on Twitter is saying, like, we love the Casa Grande's movie. So it's like, did we do our job and actually say, watch the Casa Grande's movie? And currently it's like, what, the top 10 of Netflix right now? I'm just saying, you might want to thank us.
That's high numbers. That's high numbers for Casa Grande's movie. Yeah.
But until then, this was a tough episode for you guys. And if you guys watched it through, thank you for being courageous. Hopefully we didn't offend anybody when it came to all the material that we did tonight. We did some good stuff, but obviously this was the one topic that we need to bring up. So if you guys watched it through, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Not really. I
mean,
want to say enjoy it.
We do thank you for listening to what we had to say regardless. You guys are awesome.
Yes. So yeah, thank you very much for checking out this Anination podcast episode. That's it for us here. Make sure you come back here next Wednesday as we talk a lot about Casa Grandes next week.
Oh yeah, Casa Wednesday.
Casa Wednesday. Okay, put that in there. And if you haven't watched the Netflix movie, the Casa Grandes movie, please watch it on Netflix. It's currently out right now. Miguel would love you for watching it, by the way.
What are you doing? Listen to us. Go watch it right now.
But until then, thank you very much for checking out the Anination podcast. This is all the time we have here. Until then, we'll see you guys next week on a new episode of the Anination podcast.
Catch you all later.
Bye. Ow. Casa Grandes Wednesday, is that what we call it now?
Casa Wednesday. We call it